Out in the open tonight, Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney has been taking some heat over religion. Romney is a Mormon, and a very wealthy Mormon at that. And he's not alone. You'd be amazed at how many CEOs running top companies also share his beliefs. Faith and Values correspondent Delia Gallagher looks into whether there's something about the Mormon way of doing business that gives Mormons an edge in enterprise.
Jim Quigley is the CEO of one of the nation's largest financial firms, Deloitte & Touche. He has devoted much of his life to climbing the corporate ladder.
And she's on your line.
But Jim also devotes a lot of time to the Mormon Church, one of a number of Mormons in top corporate positions, like the founder of JetBlue, the CFO of Citigroup, the former dean of Harvard Business School, and many others.
About 13 million Mormons in the world.
Jeff Benedict, author of the book The Mormon Way of Doing Business, says the principles and practices of the Mormon faith, like not drinking alcohol, serving at their church, and devotion to their families, have helped these CEOs get to the top.
What each of these guys shared was that, again, there was a competitive edge, an advantage to being the only guy in the room at age 25 who didn't have an alcoholic beverage in their hand at a business party.
Quigley spends every Sunday and sometimes Saturday at church and says he learns as much there as in the corporate world.
The leader who has the opportunity to 7 days a week be mentored to watch effective leaders, they're going to have an advantage over someone else who's watching NFL football games on Sunday. You're not going to build many leadership skills with your remote control.
Mormon CEOs serve senior positions in their church unpaid, and Mormons also donate 10% of their income to the church, called tithing.
Tithing is a principle that teaches business leaders to give up the one thing that many of us covet, which is money. How does that translate into business? These guys learn things about how to be empathetic to members of your congregation that are going through tough times. How to give up the other thing we covet besides money, which is your discretionary time.
But Mormons say the value they place above all others is family.
Mormons are encouraged to devote significant time to their families and make that part of who we are. And I think it actually makes me more effective as a CEO.
You don't have to be a Mormon to succeed, of course, but in a competitive world, they say a little discipline and a lot of faith can go a long way. Delia Gallagher, CNN, New York.
With me now, Jeff Benedict, who we heard in Delia Gallagher's report. He's the author of The Mormon Way of Doing Business. All right, so question, Jeff. If family and church are the main priorities for Mormons and career comes number 3, how are they so successful?
I think what the secret is that they've found is that if you have a strong family at home and you make a certain amount of time commitment to them every week and you're grounded in your faith, no matter what faith it is, you're a better businessman, you're a better worker. If you go to work and when you're there, you're not worried about what happened at home this morning because things are right at home, you're a better performer at work.
Well, so let me ask you then, if Mitt Romney were to become president, he's a Mormon, does that mean the country comes third?
No,
because family, church, number 1, number 2.
I think the country comes first very clearly. I mean, he's made that clear. And I think if you look at these CEOs that we just talked about, these are guys who, because their families are as strong as they are and they're grounded the way they are, they're able to give so much of their time and their effort to their companies. They lay it all on the line, and I think that they feel a certain obligation to their shareholders, to their employees, and to their customers.
And let's talk about where that comes from. All Mormons have to go on a mission for a couple years. I mean, talk to me about the discipline and the lifestyle that leads to success in business.
It's very different when you're 19 years old and all of a sudden, instead of going off, you're leaving high school, instead of going off to college or business school, you're running off to Argentina or Korea or Mexico, and you're giving up 2 years, you're not getting paid a dime to do it, and you don't go home for 2 years, there's no holidays, you don't date girls, you don't do any of that stuff. All you do for 2 years is work like a dog in a very frustrating environment. It's hard to talk to people about religion who don't want to hear about it. And what this teaches these guys, you come home at 21, you've learned about perseverance and sticking to something no matter what. You learn about overcoming the odds. You learn about punctuality. All these things that, if you go into business, happen to be great traits and techniques that you use. And these guys all did that.
What about tithing?
Tithing's huge because tithing is a commandment in the Mormon Church. People are expected to give 10% of their income. That's a huge commitment.
But other churches ask the same thing.
Well, other churches ask people to give up money, but there aren't other churches that treat it as a commandment, and it is a set 10% amount. That's a lot of money to give up, whether you are making $30,000 a year or $3 million a year. How does that help in business? Well, one of the things that trips up executives and people who get a lot of power in business is greed. And tithing is a great insulator against greed.
Also, I know Mormons spend, up to 3 hours on Sunday at church?
Right.
Most people go for 45 minutes to
Right.
an hour, and
That's right.
they're on with their day.
That's right. It is big when you think of every Sunday. It's not just Easter and Christmas. It's every Sunday, 3 hours a day, 3 hours a Sunday. When you have little kids, whether you're a senior citizen, it doesn't matter. Everybody does the same thing. And it is different. There aren't many churches who do that. It's a big time commitment.
And when you say carving out a specific amount of time for family, because
Right.
businessmen work long hours,
Right.
and businesswomen all through the night,
right.
on weekends.
That's right.
So I still am having a hard time understanding how they are so successful and really do have that quality time at home.
I think, look, to be honest here, it's not like these guys are leaving the office at 5 and coming home and having a nice sit-down dinner. These guys work as hard as anybody or harder. The point is, I think all of them have earmarked Sunday as that's the day that's off limits. We put boundaries around that day. And I think, if you think about it, to take a whole day and dedicate a day once a week to being with your family and involved in your faith, most of us don't do that.
Sure.
And
it's quality.
It's quality
of time. Jeff Benedict, thanks so much.
Thank you.